Hello Internet. Today you and I are going to fix this EVGA 3080 Ti. The model and the serial number on our screen, in case you were wondering. Owner stated no detect, and it looks like this car had never been opened before. That's always a good sign, so let's plug it in and see how non-detectable it is. Okay, card does not output any image, and if you notice, the fan on the right spins at 100%. Both of these issues were mentioned by the customer, so let's take it apart and see if we can find anything obvious. Once card was open, I immediately noticed the most dry thermal paste I've ever seen. Even paste on coils was so dry I had to scrape it with a razor blade to get rid of it. I wonder if this card came from Arizona somewhere. Because if it did, and you live nearby, please open your card and apply new thermal paste. Pads have survived, and that goes to show that pads are much better than your beloved K5 Pro. And for that reason, I will never recommend K5 Pro. It's not reusable and it's a mess. Oh, and did I mention it costs 3 times as much? In any case, several days of cleaning. I still wasn't able to get all of it, but I got most of it out, and hopefully that's good enough. Too bad my cleaning chemical wiped the BIOS version sticker clean. I'm just gonna make it look like it was never there. See? Can't even tell. Next, let's do some measurements. 12 volt kiloohms, 3.3 almost 6K, 1 kiloohm on 1.8 volt line, 16 ohms on PEX, 320 ohms on 5 volt rail, which from my experience seems very low, but we'll see. A bunch of 12 volt inductors here are all kiloohms. Memory is 46 ohms, that's good. We'll check the fuses. And there's one more inductor on the back with 10K. Next, let's see how many amps this car would draw. And it looks like it's just under 2 amps, that's good. Now let's look at if all voltages are present. 1.8 present. PEX is present. And that means we have 5 volt and memory and core. And I went ahead and checked all the phases just to make sure. With nothing obvious, let's boot the card as a secondary device and run some memory tests. It looks like mod's training status is already showing us 2 bad channels. What it doesn't show us is which bank or which one of the 2 chips is showing errors. That is why I cannot simply run mod's test. I have to run MATS and NVMT to point to the correct chip. Okay, test has failed. Let's take our USB drive, plug it into a PC, and let's take a look at the MATS report. And MATS shows us errors on every single chip. Typically that means a dead core, but if we look at the mods, it says we have a problem with A and F channels. But which chip exactly? NVMT, on the other hand, is giving us more specific errors that are coming from A1 and F0, as you can see here. So A1 and F0 get an X of death, which means we need to get the preheater going. I will cover up these capacitors here on the side so they don't explode while I remove the memory chips, and here we go. I usually go straight into soldering a new chip, but with this card a lesson was learned. The lesson was to check all the data lines before soldering the chip. You'll see why. I'm using my pinout reference to know which pad to test, and I test them in diode mode one by one. Pads that read different values from the rest are a sign of trouble. And after checking both of the areas, I found some pads that were missing a connection to the GPU. That means we either reflow or reball the core. I don't like to reflow because it requires higher temperatures, so I will reball the core instead. With the core removed, let's verify that those pads are actually making their way under the GPU. What's left now is to finish with the reball and hope for the best. Long story short, we have a picture and the math is now running, giving us a pass this time.
Perfect.
Fresh pads on the coils and a little bit of fur mark show that the card is working, but we still have a problem with the fan, so let's take a look at it next. Using an oscilloscope, let's look at what tachometer signal looks on a working fan. The blue one shows reading off the charts. What about the PVM signal? On the first two, they look good, but on this one, it's increasing, which means fan speed will also increase. Making assumption using a non-matching board view, I think this PVM signal is actually controlled by this chip. In my case, there's no resistor, but it goes straight into the chip, making this chip a suspect number 1. I will replace this chip and hopefully fan will work properly. And it looks like it does. Again, I will remove old thermal paste and apply new. Opening the card over and over uses a lot of thermal paste, but oh well. Once everything was assembled, I was able to control the fan speed using MSI Afterburner, and it looks like it works as expected. Which means you and I did a great job once again, and this card is already on its way back to its rightful owner as of this moment. And as a reminder, if you need a repair, please contact me by following the link in the description. And I thank you for watching. And if you learned anything out of this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to give me a random comment. I do read comments, so don't hesitate to put one on there. Bye.